everyone and welcome to the final of the TWCC Flash Tournament Random 2v2. So just to remind you of the rules, 12k funds, large unit scale, you're allowed a maximum of 10 spear, pike or hoplite units, you're allowed a maximum of 6 of the same unit, you're not allowed to use the push through exploit to force your way through other units, and there is no artillery. Now joining me today I have Chadman.
Hail!
And in terms of the teams, they may not have selected them yet, but we will put up the screen. So preliminary teams look to be Arverni and Rome versus 2 Arverni players, but that may well change. We'll just have a look at the chat where they usually discuss who they're picking.
A lot of barbarian goings on. This bodes well for the future of our barbarian campaign.
Well, a lot of them are using the top end units, so the very end of our barbarian campaign maybe.
Okay, alright.
I think once you get past the early units of the barbarians, they're very effective, but
currently we're about as effective as a chocolate teapot.
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I'm kind of used to that. I'm used to that level of effectiveness.
So,
and that's interesting.
Yeah.
Bit of trees on the right hand side there for the yellow team on the Battle of Bergigala, to see how it turns out for them and if they decide to actually hide any troops there now.
Yeah, the other one that was interesting, there was a small cluster nearer the red team, but more centralised on the map, which is sort of the location they would usually engage at. So if they can get some of their units in there, they'll be more resistant to archer fire and the like.
And being ambushed by cavalry, that sort of thing.
Yeah, so it may end up working out in the favour of red as long as they don't... If the yellows play super defensive, obviously not, but up until now it's been fairly good from everyone taking part, advancing at least a reasonable amount.
But yeah, looking at the trees at the moment now, it does look like you could hide at least a reasonable amount of horses in here.
Yeah, maybe that clump in the middle isn't quite as big as the map made out, looking at it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not dense enough for you to do anything other than have a picnic around, really, is it?
But then the Arverni are the equivalent of the Gauls, so how many Menken Asterix and Obelix hide in there, do you reckon?
Yeah, that's true. Maybe they'll dig a hole. I don't know.
Oh no,
They can...
I was looking at the wrong place. The place on the map I was considering looks like it's actually small saplings and mostly low bushes, so they may be able to hide stuff in there, but...
Exactly. So obviously you've got that section over on the left-hand side. They may use it to disguise some cavalry, possibly keep it in as additional support. So we're looking now at Akhenaton. He's obviously in with the Celtic Youths. He's got Oathsworn running the line. The main line will be the Oathsworn with the Spear Nobles probably running behind. And we're seeing over here on the right-hand side, obviously, Tuareg in the process of moving his forces. So you can see now he's got the Hellenic Royal Guard moving up to the front line. So that would be the very heavy pike infantry. He's also got Heffalumps in there as well, so the medium Heffalump.
Interesting is mostly he's gone for Galician Royal Guard, which are the swordsman unit. They're very good swordsmen. Just, I guess, because of who he's up against there. He doesn't need huge amounts of pikes. He'd rather have the swordsman.
Yeah, looking that way. Now, looking at the actual breakout, you can see they're forming almost like a single line of all of their troops to make sure that they don't actually get breached, which is interesting to see. So you've got a combination of the Hellenic Royal Guard and a Galician Royal Guard forming essentially an impenetrable line so that nobody gets forced in between. I mean, there is a little gap between the two armies, but that's kind of expected. That you've got Oathsworn and Hellenic Royal Guard right next to each other. The
interesting choice is to have his general as that central flanked sort of area, which is traditionally where these armies have been splitting in half as the players, manage their own troops and don't worry so much about the other player. So
that's interesting because I noticed that he's got multiple Heffalump units.
Yeah, he's putting one with his friends and one on his team. He's trying to use them to punch holes by the look of it.
Yeah, it looks like he's already punching holes in some of the cavalry of his own team. So we'll have to wait and see how those Heffalumps get on. So we'll just wait and see what's going on, and we'll wait for the other team to spawn in after they've done their selections. You can obviously see from the Egyptians, you've got the Ptolemaic cavalry over on the right-hand side. So this heavy shock cavalry with their fine spears and armour will be over the right-hand flank for the Egyptians.
I do like the Ptolemaic cavalry. They looks very shiny in their gold sort of coloured armours.
Yeah, just moving past the Hellenic Royal Guard right now. Also looking at the Oath Sworn.
Interesting to know he's got his pikemen in the middle and his swords on the flank.
Yeah, I'm wondering if he's actually going to be kind of doing it in such a way that his pikemen take the brunt of the battle, or the brunt of the attack from the cavalry, and then the swordsmen close in on one side or possibly both sides to sort of close it like a trap.
Well, I guess unlike spearmen, pikemen don't turn very well, so you do kind of want them away from the flanks, even if they would be better against the cavalry.
Okay, so good luck and have funds are being issued, and we could be underway.
See, he's got the Ptolemaic hiding in the trees there. He'll sneak forwards, I'm guessing.
Yeah, you can see those guys there currently in the hidden.
Definitely got the elephant sitting in with his ally there.
Yeah, to offer a little bit of extra, like you're saying, a little bit of extra push and punch ability to get through those lines. There we go.
So the opposing
Barbarians are now on the field.
A lot more ranged units on the opposing Arverni team.
You can see there's Panda Warrior there with the Oath Sworn. Looks like they're covering their left flank. And you've now got an awful lot of Celtic slingers in there. And Oath Sworn covering those flanks. And a massive scrum of cavalry and Oath Sworn.
There's about
around the back.
8 units of cavalry on the double Arverni team.
Yeah, that's going to be a serious problem for their opponents, and how they're going to actually handle it. So you can see them. Looks like Panda Warriors moving up some light horse just to sort of scout out the area. So
this flank with the Egyptians on should just end in a swordsman on swordsman brawl by the look of it, with the cavalry trying to get round behind the Arverni double team, having far more cavalry in that area than the opposition, who only have one.
And I think part of the problem is that over here on the right, Akhenaton is going to have trouble with Tuareg because his elephants are running down his allies, which is going to be a little bit of a problem over there on the left flank.
Yeah, they're not taking any damage from those elephants at the moment, or not any deaths yet anyway. I don't know if it drops the health a little.
Difficult to say, but you can see now the Egyptians moving on the right flank, the horses remaining where they are, and you can see now, obviously, one of the Averni is Oath Sworn, in Panda Warrior, moving out, being supported by the heavy horse.
Interestingly, the Oath Sworn of... who's this? Akhenaton coming across in front of the Egyptians. Sorry, not Oath Sworn, the cavalry coming across in front of the Egyptians.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Maybe they're running to try and cover the cavalry on the far right-hand side. Maybe go for... You know what? I'm thinking... I have a funny suspicion they're going to try and punch a hole right through the middle. But
hit
the trouble
the
is
slingers.
Now the cavalry are going to get in the way of the existing forces, so they're going to have a massive traffic jam now, and they're going to come under a huge amount of fire. This is not a good situation here for Akhenaton. He's going to have to get his... There we go. Now he's running his cavalry through, and there we go. The Egyptians moving forward. So they're moving forward in one great big huge massive clump, as they're the cavalry, the noble horse, going charging into the skirmishers and ready to meet up with the noble horses.
No, they're pulling back.
Oinkers. There we go. Looks like they pulled back after they came in to attack, and now they may be moving into a little bit of an aggressive position, as Heffalumps have been loosed on the right hand side. There's Tuareg moving in towards the Oath Sworn, I should say. So the Oath Sworn now being pushed back by suppressive elephants, by tactical elephant usage.
The left flank of the Egyptians look interesting. The Arverni looked like they were trying to hook round onto it, but then Akhenaton's brought his troops out even wider to then flank them again.
Yeah, it's looking that way at the moment. So you can see there's obviously Jixi looks to be pulling back somewhat, and now we're obviously looking at Akhenaton, who's moving out on the left hand side with the Oath Sworn and the Celtic youths. So there'll be a football match very shortly.
Panda Warrior running his horses in front of those Galician Royal Guard, close enough for them to wave at each other.
Yeah, that could be a mistake. We'll have to wait and see. As now you can see the Galician Royal Guard taking fire from the Celtic Youths as the Oathsworn from Panda Warrior are moving up towards Tuareg. So you can see the more fire coming in from the Galician Royal Guard. They're trying to take down those Celtic Youths. None of those have been damaged. It looks like only a couple of the Oathsworn have been
Elephants in the middle.
It's Heffalump time, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, they found a huge clump.
Tactical Heffalumps. Oh, look at this. Tactical Heffalump usage going on in the middle right now.
They found a huge clump of troops to just charge into the middle of. Look at them all. They're crushing people left and right. He's gone for the general as well.
Oh, very nice indeed. It looks like one of the Heffalumps is running into problems. I don't know, we'll have to wait and see. It looks like they've unfortunately... Yeah, it looks like the Oathsworn for Jixi have actually been broken by this attack. And you can see now Jixi having problems as Kenethon is also in there. Two of the Heffalumps have just gone down. 3 of the Heffalumps currently out of action. So they're now down to 10 Heffalumps of the original 18. Down goes another Heffalump.
Ptolemaic cavalry's getting charged on the side.
Yeah, we can see now.
Here it comes.
The Hellenic Royal Guard moving in with the pikes, but behind them is a Kenethon, obviously moving in. So now we're watching the Hellenic Royal Guard moving in with their pike into the sections of the Oathsworn. Let's see how things turn out for these guys. Oh, all those pointy sticks going towards the Oathsworn. That's going to be nasty. Let's see what happens as a result of that, as these guys trying to do as much damage as they can. And how are things going for you, Mal?
And looking at the far flank, looks like Kenethon is managing to get round the side of Jixi. He's got just more troops in the area, so he's hitting them in the front with the spear nobles, and then it looks like he's sending the naked warriors. Didn't see them before. Moving round the side. But the other end, it looks like Egypt's getting pushed hard. Who's winning? The heavy horse are about equal to the Ptolemaic cavalry, so that'll be an interesting fight to watch as the infantry join.
Yeah, so we're watching now as the Oathsworn are getting some more fire from the Galician Royal Guard. So now you can see the Galician Royal Guard getting in there up close and personal, a few kick in the testicles and a sword in the shoulder. As now you can see lots of battling going on as the horses wander past after recently losing their rider. So we're flying over the top of the battle, and we can obviously see the likes of the Galician Royal Guard currently confident. They have sustained casualties. And the Oathsworn also pretty confident.
The Oathsworn seem to be winning that. I think he's using his abilities slightly better. He's got the Headhunter and the Frenzy ability running. They're winning slightly. So I suspect we'll see the Galician Royal Guard collapsing on that flank unless something gets in there to help them quickly. But there doesn't look to be anything around to do so. And Jixi's Spear Nobles, however, are routing, so that is the general gone.
Oh dear, that's not a good situation. As now we're looking over on the far left-hand side, as you can see, of course, the second section of Heffalumps now trying to deal with Oathsworn, and it looks like the Oathsworn for Jixi, unfortunately, it looks like they're exhausted. They're pretty close to breaking, as now we have Celtic Youths moving in as well to support the Heffalumps, and you can now see Oathsworn moving in to try and take out. So it looks like these elephants are going in to try and support the cavalry. Maybe we'll have just to wait and see, as poor old Jixi is losing some of his heavy spear infantry, as their spear nobles from Kenethon is actually doing a lot of the damage there now.
Yeah, Kenethon's winning this flank comfortably. If he can get a unit to focus on the noble horse of the general, that'll be both generals on the other team down, at which point the morale of the army should drop significantly, and then they can just mop up pretty much. It looks like they're about to rout. There we go, second general's gone. Jixi's did rally for a while though, but it doesn't seem overly confident. It's back, yep. So Jixi's general's back. They really need to get some units on that. The Egyptian flank, however, is collapsing. He just cannot hold off the Oathsworn with all of their bonuses running.
Yeah, it's pretty much a massive scrum in the middle there. As now you can see, obviously, Panda, some of his Oathsworn warriors are now getting out of there. The Galician Guard still doing a good job while being very tired. They're taking on the heavy horse cavalry, or the heavy melee cavalry of Panda Warrior. And unfortunately, I think, yep, there we go, they're just about to break. They are starting to waver. And you can see Panda Warrior still got a section of Oathsworn in here as well. He's going to send those guys into the Galatian Royal Guard to try and take down some more of those. A couple of those guys go down. And you can see obviously Tuareg in the centre using his numbers to try and take out the noble horse of Panda.
Seems the elephants are going in. That could be a very nasty charge if he throws them in there. He just needs to watch his Egyptian allies, although there's not many of them left and they're about to rout, so it's probably a good time to throw them in. So, what I mean allies, it's his own units of course. In they come, Oathsworn in the rear, catching elephants.
It's Heffalump time, as we're watching the Heffalumps make a run in. As you can see, they're all cheering, and they've been partially
brutal.
There we go. And now you can see, obviously, the Oathsworn of Jixi currently being Heffalump to death.
Oh, game paused.
Interesting. And now you can see cavalry coming in from Jixi to try and deal. So the spearmen coming in to try and deal with those evil Heffalumps who are doing so much damage. And you can see, there we go, one of the Heffalumps goes down. You can see the African warrior elephants. They've only lost 2 of their number, but coming from the rear,
Spear nobles are about to get charged.
Combination of spear nobles.
They're about to get charged there, and they're catching javelins at a flaming variety. I don't think that general is going to be long.
No, I don't think so too either, especially with the noble horse of a Kenethon there in the background.
There they go.
Massive amounts of fiery javelins coming in. So the Hellenic Royal Guard currently very eager, doing their best to try and deal with the problems that are occurring. And obviously you've got the Celtic Youth moving in as well.
Yeah, I think Jixi's general routing caused the Oathsworn on this flank to drop, and I believe their abilities ran out as well, so the Galician Royal Guard have sort of turned the fight around. They did lose quite a few of their men though, you can see them dead on the floor in various clumps. But they have won that flank back, which is surprising, but I guess if your general dies, that has a big impact.
Yeah, massive impact. So now you can see the Egyptians maybe starting to rally, but I know it's difficult to say. You've still got a section of Galatian Royal Guards over there on the left flank, but I think it's fair to say it's pretty much all over as far as the enemy are concerned. So you've got obviously the battle now being over.
Yep, so Kenethon and Tuareg win round 1, but as this is the final, it is the best of 3, so we have at least 1 more to go.
Indeed, interesting battle though.
Let's see the stats, see which units weren't used particularly effectively. So there we go, we've got Arverni on both teams, so we don't get to see the Egyptian stats unfortunately. So Kenethon, 1 of his cavalry, well 3 of his cavalry only getting about 30 kills, but his 4th one more than making up for it with 244.
Indeed, yes.
And on the other team, none of the cavalry really being of use there. Some spear units with 0 kills. And just his Oathsworn not really doing much. In fact, there's not really a single unit in that Arverni faction on the right there that did a significant damage.
Well, these boys love their flat grass, don't they?
It's a good point, actually. Oh no, if you zoom right down, it's got some sort of
there
height
is
to
some
it.
flora and fauna available.
Oh.
But generally, it's flat as a pancake.
There we go. Right, what have we got? So Arverni first, light horse, noble horse, noble horse. He's got, I think it's 6 units.
Yeah.
He keeps moving them around. Stop it! Ah.
So I'm looking at Oathsworn over here for the Arverni, along with selections of noble horse and Celtic warriors.
Yeah, he's got 6 units of horse, although some of them are light. He's got 2 light
But
horse.
it looks like he's got Levy Freeman in there as well. I don't think he's gone for a lot of range stuff.
No, there's no skirmish units there at all.
Now, the spears, for the Levi Thurios spears, behind them the Galatian Royal Guard, behind them heavy pike infantry.
Nobody's got ranged units on this team.
Interesting. Very interesting. I wonder how they're looking to play it.
Who are the other factions? Rome and Arverni?
Yeah.
Was it? No, it's Swaby, wasn't it?
Swaby, yeah.
Now, they've got very good ranged units. So we could see this Egyptian Arverni team getting kited, depending on the build that he goes with. It depends if he's got
Indeed.
the micromanagement.
Indeed, yes. I mean, that little hillock halfway along, just by the spawn, of where the enemy's going to spawn, offers no cover at all.
It's definitely a flat map.
Indeed, yes. So there's going to be no kind of height advantage involved. Line of sight won't be a problem.
Unless there's a small army of dwarves hiding behind this small hill in the middle with the little bushes on it. It's about the only way you'd get line of sight issues.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Well, if you look at the map, you can see that hill is like breaking up their line of sight with the dark patch. Look.
Yeah, exactly.
So if they put anything in that region, you won't see it.
Mm-hmm. So, obviously, we're watching everybody get set up now. And we're waiting for the opposing forces to get in. Get ready.
So Egypt has what looks like sacrificial spear units on the front of his line. He's keeping his pikes at the back. It's very strange.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see how that turns out.
I mean, maybe he intends to charge down any ranged units with those spears and absorb the casualties while everyone else marches up behind?
Yeah, it's a tricky thing. It's a tricky thing to know for sure. We won't obviously know until the enemy gets in and we know what the makeup of their army is as well. So we know what they're up against and what they'll have to deal with accordingly.
Here we go. That's a very wide deployment.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So there's a lot of Roman cavalry. 4 units of Praetorian.
Ephelumps are in there.
Oh yeah, African elephants on the Romans.
Gladiators.
I always think the gladiators look too uniform. There's too many of the same type.
Yeah, too many bed chests. And
Praetorian Guard, legionary cohort.
Yeah.
So the Suebi, they got the longbows. Yep, they got 4 units of longbow hunters. Sword masters. There's those berserkers that caused the Romans so much issue last time we saw them.
Oh right.
Out on the flank.
The Praetorian Guard, and obviously the legionary cohorts moving up.
So it looks like the Alverni are pushing for the width of the Suebi, trying to get round them, but they're fairly near the map edge, so they can't go too far. In fact, I think the Suebi cavalry could probably harass them out to the map edge without having to worry about it.
Anything's possible.
Rome, on the other hand,
watching...
has plenty of movement to go around Egypt. Egypt coming towards the middle.
Mm-hmm. Interesting, it's like Rome's moving with kind of a big long line, almost like closing the door over on the left hand side to push in against Egypt and try and push them back.
Not really understanding what Egypt are going for here. They're just letting the Romans in behind them hugely,
yeah.
But I guess they've got no archer units to worry about getting grabbed, but it does mean those cavalry could rear charge anything that gets engaged from the front.
Mm-hmm. Maybe they're going to use it to take out the shock cavalry, the citizen cavalry as well, the Ptolemaic cavalry as well. We'll have to wait and see how that turns out.
Also interesting, the Suebi aren't having their archers in front as a skirmish line that then fall back. They're literally keeping them behind their sword wall.
Mm.
Seems everyone's pivoting.
Well, it is the in thing these days. It's what all the cool kids do. So now let's see. That's a pretty goddamn unbroken line. Now you can see obviously it looks like the noble horse and the light horse from Panda is moving up on the left hand side up against the Suebi.
I think the Suebi have missed an opportunity there. If they had wedged up against the map edge, they could have prevented this and Rome would have been free to come round on an enemy that couldn't go anywhere.
Yeah. So we'll have to wait and see what they decide to do, because at the moment we're just watching the situation and it's a standoff. No team wants to engage as of yet, although saying that the Suebi and the Averni are looking scowling at each other across this open field area, Matt.
Here comes Egypt. They're marching forwards. No, they changed their mind. They're coming back again.
You can see them all now starting to move even more over to the right-hand side, or over to one side.
I'm half expecting to see a dance troupe go down this bit in the middle in a minute.
Yeah, hello my darling, hello my honey, etc. Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Wedding procession.
What I'm waiting for is for literally the entire battle to finally start when both armies have changed to each other's position.
You completely 180 reverse and then just slam into each other.
Yeah. Pretty much.
So the Suebi don't want to go in on this cavalry because the Arvoni just have more. They've got 6 units versus the Suebi's 4. So they can't afford to try and engage them.
Yeah, so you can see the light horse with Panda Warrior trying to engage a little bit up against these 4 sections of noble riders, which obviously, as you said before, are outnumbered.
Egypt and Rome's cavalry moving along behind the lines in relative to each other like an American football play.
Yeah, it is rather strange, isn't it? But that's the kind of reaction you sort of expect them to do. So you can see now, it looks like, yeah, look, here we go. It looks like Panda Warrior is starting to commit his cavalry forces to move in. There we go, looks like the charge is being done as the Berserkers now start to move back. And it looks like now this might be an opportunity for Panda Warrior and his cavalry to get in behind the enemy lines and start doing some damage.
Because on the flank, I'm sure a cavalry charge on them would be decimating compared to one versus the Swordmasters. Oh, here we go,
yeah.
Engagement.
And there we go, looks like the attack has been done onto the Noble Riders, as now you can see Egypt starts to push forwards with their cavalry behind them on the right hand side, but also over on the far right hand side you've got these 3 units of gladiators who are starting to move around on one of the flanks.
So he's just retreated his Berserkers back like I thought he should. So that's flanks fairly tied up for the moment.
Thanks for the memory. And you can see now, unfortunately here, it looks like Panda Warrior is starting to waver. The light horse obviously coming under attack from the Noble Riders, so they're not going to stand up against heavy cavalry. So those guys are going to be breaking. But fortunately for him, he's coming in with his Noble Horse to try and engage these guys. So 2 units of Noble Horse moving in. And we'll just have to wait and see how that turns out, as now you can see the Noble Riders from Tarek trying to deal with the Noble Riders, 2 units of Heavy Horse and Noble Horse from Panda.
Yeah,
and here we go, ladies and gentlemen, it's about to kick off.
He's routed the light horse and then just sort of stood there and took the heavy horse charge. I didn't quite get it. But in come the infantry, it may have been he was focusing on that. The general right in the middle of it, the Turek, going up against Galician Royal Guard and Oathsworn. Maybe not his best plan.
May not necessarily be the case. We'll have to wait and see what happens. So you can see now more dust being kicked up by the Roman forces as they continue to move against the enemy. We're watching
routing
now,
that spear
Galatian
unit.
Royal Guard. Oh my goodness, so many spears coming in as they crash into the cohort legionaries there. And now they're in the process of trying to push these legionaries back. These very well armed guys are in there with a guy with a bird on his head, but not anymore. He's just been taken out. So you can see the spear infantry, the Hellenic Royal Guard with those massively long 40-foot spears, now in danger of coming under fire from the gladiators. And how's it look over there for you, Mal?
The cavalry fights are still ongoing. It looks like the Turek sacrificed a unit of Noble Riders to charge in against 2 units of cavalry and some Celtic warriors just to hold them up. Can't see his Berserkers. There they are. Is he going to send them in against some Oathsworn? That'd probably be a good target. Instead, they seem to be getting hit from the side and cut down brutally. He's not quite micromanaging this flank as well as he would like, I suspect. Just because he's getting caught everywhere.
It looks like the gladiators have just been hit by the citizen cavalry from Jixi. So Jixi trying to run into those guys. As you've also now got the gladiator spearmen also coming under pressure from the Hellenic Royal Guard. And now there's a massive cavalry melee right in the flank on the far right hand side. Now you've got spearmen getting involved, the Hellenic Royal Guard obviously trying to take it to Akhenaton's Praetorian cavalry, and these guys are doing their best to stay out of trouble, but it looks like this Hellenic Royal Guard is now taking fire and attacks from multiple directions now.
So the Romans are broken in the middle, 2 units of Praetorian, well, a legionary cohort and a Praetorian guard breaking. The Egyptians that faced off against them are broken due to archer fire, but that does leave a huge hole in the defence. And on the right it looks like the Arverni have the weight of numbers. They should be able to break down the Suabi and push in, but it depends if they can get round on the flank, and there's some nasty Berserker units in here who may have something to say about it.
No doubt they will. And now you can see the gladiators also being charged, as we've got yet more cavalry from the Legatus moving in, and so you can see citizen cavalry for Jixi taking some fire, but fortunately I think the citizen cavalry, shaken, attacked in the rear. That's also been cut down by the combinations of the Praetorian cavalry from Akhenaton and more Praetorian cavalry, and yet more Praetorian cavalry, and yet more Praetorian cavalry, and some gladiators also getting involved as well now.
Yeah, so the Romans seem to be winning their flank. The middle seems to have just collapsed out of both armies to some extent, Egypt getting the upper hand mostly, and the far flank, the Arverni, have just decimated really. So the Suabi need to retreat those bowmen back behind their Roman allies before they get grabbed by cavalry that get freed up. For now they seem to just be standing there in the open. They'd probably be better off coming across towards their ally where they can get some protection.
Yeah, we've also got longbow hunters out in the middle of the field, and now we can see here it looks like Panda Warrior got a massive scrum of an awful lot of horses now. Cavalry out there on the far left flank now in a very strong position to start taking it to the Hellenic Royal Guard and the likes of obviously the Romans, who are currently trying to defend themselves from multiple directions. So we'll see how it turns out now.
Yeah, the Hellenic Royal Guard general unit of Jixi is getting shot at by what I can see is 4 archer units, 1 Roman, and I think the 3 Suabi are moving in on him now. So that may be a good choice. If they can bring down that general, that will severely impact morale. They are also charging it in the rear with some gladiators by the look of it. There's a unit of Praetorians in there trying to hold off 3 units of Galician Royal Guard.
Wow.
So they're going to need some help.
Yeah, so we're watching Jixi now and Panda Warrior. Definitely they have the advantage at the moment against the likes of Tuareg and his teammate. So we're now looking at Akhenaton there, coming under a little bit of fire as he's trying to pull his army out. So the auxiliary Syrian archers and other people like that, as well as the Praetorian cavalry, now pulling back, as you can see, the Egyptians and the Suabi. Sorry, the Egyptians and the the Averni now starting to push in against the remaining forces of their opponents now.
So this brawl in the middle with the Egyptians is quite interesting. The amount of arrows coming in must be indiscriminately hitting everyone, but the Romans seem to be coming off the better for it. They've just broken the Egyptian general. That could be significant, although there aren't many Egyptian units left. So it looks like Egypt is mostly out of this fight. The Suabi need to get their archers back behind their friendly units before this Arverni wave hits, especially that horde of cavalry, which are now charging the Romans.
4 units of noble horse, possibly 3. So yeah, now they're charging into the Praetorian cavalry, but they're also coming under fire from the longbow hunters of Tuareg, as well as Praetorian guard that's moving into their position. So they've got longbow hunters who can do quite a bit of damage, but whether or not they're going to have enough in order to do the damage that's required in the time allowed, we'll have to wait and see how it turns out now.
I suspect if they can avoid getting jumped by the cavalry, they will turn this fight, but if these noble horse get free of the Praetorian guard fighting them, they will just tear the archers apart. The archers really need to focus down that cavalry now while it's tied up, which is what they seem to be doing. But the Oathsworn obviously coming in to prove other ideas.
Yeah, massive scrum right in the middle there with a combination of Praetorians and obviously the Hogfather in there as well doing his thing. So you can see obviously Panda Warrior in there. These guys taking fire, and you can see the noble horse taking a little bit of fire. But the Praetorian guard, and you can see now more Praetorian guard, Praetorian cavalry now starting to break. As you can see, yet more of the Averni moving in closely onto the Syrian archers. So They're not attacking the Syrian archers yet, however, it's all still to play for. This is a possibility maybe that the likes of Panda and Friend may possibly win this. What do you think, Mal?
I think if they can bring down any cavalry, there are enough archer units here that they can micromanage them round to death. You know, they'll chase one unit so the other sidestep, shoot them in the side. Harbour proved that extremely effectively last week, but it's whether they've got the micromanagement skills and can, you know, bring down the units that would severely hamper them doing that, which are obviously the cavalry units.
Yeah, now it looks like it could be that the combinations of the Swaby and the Romans are now doing a little bit of a kite. They're trying to pull back as quickly as possible, recover their forces, reorganise their forces so that they'll be able to attack in a more coordinated fashion, perhaps, Mal.
The problem is they're all retreating in exactly the same direction, so that Oathsworn unit just has to keep chasing them, and as long as they don't get exhausted and slow down, which is what has actually happened, you know, they could have just kept chasing them. What you want is to work out which unit they're chasing and then send that away whilst the others spread around the sides. Because they can't attack all three directions at once, they have to pick a unit and go for it.
Yeah, now you've obviously got longbow hunters there from Tuareg working together with Kenethon's Praetorian cavalry, and more fiery arrows coming over into the Oathsworn troops, currently down by about 20 men or so. So these guys still in a strong position. However, they've got to watch out for that longbow hunters on their left side. The Celtic warriors are taking some fire from that. Maybe they need to push the Oathsworn out to take out that left flank, but at the moment the Celtic warriors, Panda, are taking quite a bit of punishment.
Yeah, these Celtic warriors are a good example. They have to pick left or right, and either way they do it, they can get shot in the side and then the rear by whichever other unit is still stood where it is. The one thing these guys probably could do better is to stop using the fire arrows, because you fire far faster with the standard arrows, and in this case you just want to get as much, you know, down range in their face as possible. When you've got this many arrows, like archers around as well. But that cavalry unit's going to change the game up now. But in comes the Roman Praetorian cavalry that he's been holding back. That was a good call.
Yeah, I can see those guys now. So they're obviously happy because there's an exposed flank that they can actually make the most of. The heavy melee cavalry now, they're relatively steady, but they've got support. There we go, they've just broken now as a result. They're starting to waver, but fortunately for them, Oathsworn is moving up to support them, but they're still taking arrow fire, and I don't know why they haven't dealt with this section of Swaby longbow hunters over on the left-hand side that belong to Tuareg, as well as the other longbow hunters directly ahead of them now.
Yeah, the far better use of that cavalry unit that just got decimated would have been to go for the isolated longbow unit. But, I mean, the Roman cavalry weren't going to charge a wall of Arverni swordsmen, so why charge headlong into the enemy cavalry?
Yeah, so we're looking over on the right-hand side. They're still trying to chase down the gladiator spearmen, and you can see, obviously, it looks like the Oathsworns for Panda moving in as well, and the Celtic warriors. So it's still all to play for. It's still a possibility. Look what is going on in the centre there. Panda warrior is literally being fired on from all directions, trying to move his troops, and these guys are just going to break so quickly because they're being fired on from multiple directions. And look, he's got him surrounded in an almost horseshoe shape selection of arrows, and poor old Panda is going to get absolutely butchered and will not stand a chance, and most likely will lose those forces as a result.
Yeah, they're a heavy infantry unit, they're not fast, they also are going to be exhausted because they've been running across the entire map as well as fighting. Also the recent patch that slowed down infantry movement won't be helping their case.
And so what essentially is happening is the likes of a Kenethon is actually now just continuing to pull his archers back and then using those archers to engage the enemy at range. So now you've also got the other longbow hunters from Tuareg moving in and now engaging these poor Oathsworn right in the centre from multiple directions. And so Panda needs to really get these guys out, get them in maybe to deal with those Syrian archers on the right hand side and start doing some serious damage, because this is still a situation that is not looking good really for the Egyptians and the Arverni. I think it's possible, sheer weight of numbers and the combination of the arrows, means that it's possible they may lose this one as a result now.
Yeah, we're getting some comments from the live stream that people aren't taking much damage from the arrows, but that's when they're fired from the front where they've got their shields. Now that they've got them surrounded, just sheer weight of arrows coming in should pull them down. Running out of ammo is going to be the only concern that they have, but they should be able to manage it. They're not full strength units. It depends what the Roman player has left. I mean, he's still got some gladiator spearmen, but they're going up against Galician Royal Guard, so I don't fancy their chances.
No. They're just watching, yeah, the wolf head guy just got taken down. So that's going to get into a messy situation, but really he's just holding them up. What is a bit of a shame is the fact that essentially all those options for cavalry for the Averni and the Egyptians has essentially now been lost, so that they're now going to be essentially kited by a bunch of archers.
Yep, the only thing that they could possibly hope for is that they eventually run out of ammo before they run out of troops.
Yes, that's the situation they're looking at, because obviously they don't have the speed. Everyone's very tired. They could decide to back off, but even if they decide to back off, all that you've got to do is move up with the archers and then take them out a distance with the archers. So these guys are getting more and more exhausted the more they try and kite these guys around, unless they make a decided effort to actually try and pull them in on one flank at the same time as attack them on another flank, which I think is what they're trying to work on at the moment now.
Yeah, what the Romans and the Suebi should be trying to do, I think, is to bring down that last general. If they could get that general down, that would severely impact the morale of the other Arverni units.
But the problem is that they're going to have on that now is catching him, because they now no longer have any cavalry to actually deal any kind of damage to him. And now look at, oh my goodness,
but
look
you've
at
got
the amount of fire coming in on
You've
these
got
guys
that longbow unit off to the
guard.
side that's retreating towards the map edge, completely unimpeded, could just come in and shoot the general in the side. You only have to get one lucky shot and kill the actual general and it's over. But
yeah, so you can see the poor TWCC there sending his Hellenic Royal Guard trying to get in, and look at this. These guys are pretty much wasted. The sheer number of arrows being fired.
I'm impressed he's staying and not retreating. There we go. The last guy has decided, maybe this wasn't such a good plan.
Where he's looked behind him, he's like, where are they? Where are my 119 friends gone?
Yep.
Yeah,
So
he's decided to run for it.
he just waved his sword. He's like, screw this.
Walking.
I've
I'm
had
watching
enough.
him now, and he's walking away from the battlefield.
Yep. He's just like, I've had enough.
Yeah.
See you later.
Screw this. I'm off to the pub to have some lunch. So now, this is going to be a situation where they're going to continue to kite, because there's nothing. If they get in close range, these Oathsworn will cut them to pieces.
These longbow hunters on the side need to attack this general. They need to stop trying to retreat back to the other units because they're never going to get there.
What, I mean, there's Legatus?
No, the longbow hunters. There's longbow hunters behind the general. They got
right.
perfect rear shot. There we go. They're firing on them finally.
There we go. Ah, right.
Okay, the Oathsworn are charging the fire arrow storm.
Yeah, but the trouble is, because they're so damned exhausted, they can't really charge it, can I? That's the problem that they're actually suffering from at the moment with Panda, is the fact that he can't actually charge them, and as soon as he gets close enough to them to do any kind of damage, they just back off straight away, move to a safer location because they can move faster and they're not exhausted, and then they just continue to kite them. So this is going to be a battle of the kiting, really.
They need to try and stop them in the corner, but I don't think the Arverni's seen it quick enough. I think the archers will get round them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's just piles of bodies all over the battlefield at the moment. Opportunities that are missed, and now we've got these guys over here. So the Galician Royal Guard, of which they've still got 38, but they're still exhausted. And now, as you can see, it looks like they've split the forces somewhat. So you've now obviously got the Suebi and the auxiliary Syrian archers now being split up by the Celtic warriors, but then you've got more of the Oathsworn moving in on their other position. So if they can get a split going on, now this is interesting. Look, notice that the Legatus is actually moving down towards the Galician Royal Guard. He's decided to turn tail and move back, but he's now isolated from his position, but fortunately he has the movement ability to get himself out of trouble, as now the archers, the Syrian archers there, turn and they force the break. There we go. So there we go. It looks like the Celtic warriors are wavering. They're now coming under fire and they're broken and shattered as a result he kind of teased them slightly with the legators and forced them to shatter there now.
Yep, so you've got the Galician Royal Guard trying to head them off. He might manage it, but again, he's going to be exhausted just like everyone else. I mean, look, these poor guys are barely standing upright. Look at them walking. They're dragging their feet, looking at the floor.
Yeah.
They just can't manage it. It's just heavy infantry that's exhausted and kited. The Legatus is taunting these poor guys every time.
Yeah, and so what he's doing is he knows that there's the appeal. That's got to be the appeal for Panda Warrior. There we go, he's just broken the last of those troops there. Is to bring in the Legatus to focus his attention on the general and to then use the arrows as a combination of breaking those troops. So this is not looking like a good situation as far as they're concerned. Now, I'm wondering what's going on. See if these guys here, yeah, the Galician Royal Guard are still exhausted. I'm not sure where they think they're moving to.
Longbow hunters are in range of the general. They're going to fire. Come on. If he turned them off fire arrows, they'd shoot far faster, but there we go. In come the arrows.
There we go, more fire coming in on the back of those Oathsworn.
Oathsworn catching one in the back of his elbow and not even caring.
Yeah, Oathsworns are hard asses. So you can now see the continual fire coming in on the likes of Panda Warrior in the centre. Now you can see him focusing his attention in the sort of half-moon shape of archers. And then even it now, there you go, they're wavering. Panda Warriors, Oathsworn are going to start moving because they're just losing so many numbers. As now you can see additional forces, Oathsworn moving up, more Oathsworn moving up, and I think it's fair to say they're going to get wiped out before they have a chance to do anything now.
Yeah, the Legatus coming in to threaten the rear, so they either keep chasing the archers and get a rear charge from cavalry, or they turn to face them and catch arrows in the back. So
yeah,
rock
so
in a
they're
hard
kind of
place.
caught. Very much so. So you can now see these archers continuing to move around, as now we're watching Panda Warrior over here, trying to get in between, maybe move over towards the Egyptian guy to get a little bit of help off of him, Gypsy, who's only got one unit remaining. And now you can see the Oathsworn still being moved up onto the archers. The longbow hunters, because they don't have the army, or they don't have the armour, they don't have all the protection. It looks like, there we go, a little bit of a split done now so that he can actually possibly fire onto the enemy as much as possible. But then coming in behind them is more longbow hunters and Twilight.
I'm wondering if the Swabi are going to sacrifice one unit to get the other two out and round. It looks like that might be what they're doing.
We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, you see in the middle, you've got a combinations of the Averni moving in. There we go. There go the Egyptians. So the Egyptians have now tied up the general. Now, whether or not, as a result, the general is now coming under fire. He's now wavering.
Yeah.
So it's...
Legatus there took a lot of friendly arrows to the face.
Yeah, so maybe that's exactly what he was trying to do. Get see, but the trouble is now you can see all the troops pretty much now wavering. And even though the game's paused, I think it's fair to say that, yeah, there we go. I think it's going to be the GGs have been offered.
Syrian archers meleeing the general down because the Oathsworn's just exhausted. And that's it.
Indeed.
So, kills, a Kenathon 1,367 leading the board, but otherwise very well balanced. Let's have a look at the specific units. The Averni cavalry unit didn't get up to much. The cheap spear unit, well, you never expected them to do too much. Let's have a look. Rome. The general taking a lot of casualties for not many kills, but most of them were friendly archers by the look of it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, reasonable. There's a legionary unit there with only 13 kills, which is a bit disappointing. But that's the second win in the best of three, so Kenathon and Turek taking the victory this week.
Congratulations to them both. Well played.